Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome to the Mental Wellness Wake-Up Show, a weekly podcast where growth-minded, creative people come to learn best practices from both spirituality and psychology that create lasting well-being. I am your host, mental wellness expert, improvised acting teacher, therapist, and coach, Dawn McMillan. Let's get to it. Hey, 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 you beautiful humans. Our little podcast keeps growing. Oh, it's so exciting. So exciting. I was like, I don't look at my stats that often. Honestly, I just sort of take a little, side eye them. And it's just such a beautiful experience to know that our little community has more people in it. And I just love that we are on this journey together to improve our knowledge of how we and our worlds work so that we can be happier, healthier, and share in the well-being of other people and the planet. Seems pretty amazing to me. All right, you, what are we talking about today? We're going to revisit burnout. It's been coming up a lot in my world. So let's talk a little bit more about burnout. If I remember to link in the show notes, I do have another episode about burnout. But let's talk about what it is, because I think we can misunderstand burnout as something that only happens to first responders and emergency room workers. So what is burnout? So burnout is considered a state of emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. So we can acknowledge that there are any number of ways in which a person could be on the receiving end of excessive and prolonged stress. I'm thinking about some of my younger friends who have, 2 or 3 jobs and are trying to go to college at the same time, or caregivers, for example, or even people who are trying to caregive themselves. You can understand how people can end up with excessive and prolonged stress. One of the most common roots is chronic workplace stress, overwhelming responsibilities, and a lack of support systems. So what we want to do is to recognize the warning signs of burnout pretty early on. If it is caught, it's easier to treat than if, you're already so depleted that you're just a little puddle of mush on the floor, right? So the earlier you notice it, the sooner you can intervene and take action that is actually helpful to you. There's a new phrase emerging in the literature called bored out. Right? So in addition to getting burned out by excessive stress and overwhelming responsibilities, some of us get bored. We get bored out of the repetitive nature of our work, our lives, our experiences. There might be cause to do a whole episode on awe and play, actually, because both awe and play are very good for preventing and treating burnout. Remind me if you want to hear that. Let me know if you want to hear about that. What we can do right now, though, in addressing burnout is to notice, are we tired? Not just sleepy, but are we experiencing fatigue? Are we worn out? Are we dragging through our days? Is that level of dragging through our days more than can simply be explained by insufficient sleep? Are we fatigued? And hear the difference between the nuance of that word, right? Sometimes there's tired, like, whew, wow, I, just replanted my whole backyard. Boy, am I tired. Or, whew, I'm sleepy. I stayed up too late playing D&D, and I'm really sleepy. Versus, I'm fatigued. You hear it, yeah? And a lot of times we start to get cynical. What's the point? If you're starting to ask yourself a lot, what's the point? Or feeling hopeless, or thinking everyone is horrible. One of the reasons there's so much burnout in the helping professions is because, and in first responders, is because we so often see people in their worst days having their worst time. And so that can have this subtle effect of everything is horrible all the time, because that is what you see so much of the time. And what begins to happen is our productivity goes down. We start feeling unaccomplished, like our work isn't making a dent. Our caregiving isn't making a dent. It just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming and coming. So if you're starting to feel that, I feel fatigued. I feel like my work doesn't matter. I don't enjoy it anymore. I feel burdened by the things that used to feel like meaningful ways of contributing. You could be in early burnout or even farther along. So one way to address burnout is mindfulness-based stress reduction, cognitive behavioral therapy. We want to also look at the underlying causes of the stress. So this is going to be about making change. I mentioned awe and I mentioned play and breaks. So cultivating experiences where you get to experience awe, going into a forest, looking at the stars, I don't know, seeing a newborn calf, things that experience awe, play, doing something for fun, actual for fun, just for fun and for no other purpose. And then taking meaningful breaks, right? Rather than just grinding through. Even like a 15-minute recess break every hour or so, every couple of hours at least, can be really, really helpful. So that one of the underlying causes of stress is no awe, no play, no breaks. So you want to have a healthier work-life balance. You also want to get your goals in alignment with what's possible. So many people I know who are burning out, it's because of workplace burnout, at least, layoffs. The amount of work didn't change. The number of people doing it did. And so there's this expectation that the 3 people left will do the same amount of work in the same amount of time that 7 or 8 people were doing before. And oh, by the way, no overtime. And yeah, I mean, if you have to work on the weekend, you just have to work on the weekend. That's your problem. So that's been happening a lot too. So sometimes people feel like they just don't have a choice because there's a lot of just pressure. If you want to keep your job, you better just keep at it. Or no, you can't take a break because you're the only one who knows how to do the thing. It's just not true. It's just not true. There is a solution. There is a way to do what you have to do that doesn't cost you your vitality. And it may take some creativity to get there. It also may take some humility. You know, maybe you get a roommate to help with the mortgage so you don't have to work that second job. Like, you're like, I'm a grown person. Why do I have a roommate? Maybe that's what it takes, you know, or maybe I don't know. I don't want to start making up solutions, or, you know, or maybe you realize that the person who's on the receiving end of your caregiving is actually better able to help with their own care than you are giving them credit for. Whatever the solution may be, burning yourself out doesn't do anyone any good, especially not you. You don't owe anyone your suffering. Burning yourself out doesn't add to the well-being, it detracts from it. When you are burning yourself out, you are so much less effective and so much more, you become part of the problem, right? In your dedication to being a part of the solution, you then become part of the problem. So the downsides of letting yourself get to burnout are so high. So be kind to yourself. And really, I really genuinely think that there's a little bit of trust and a little bit of humility that is often the answer to burnout. Reach out a little bit and trust people to reach back. And sometimes they won't. You know, let's just call it. Some people are not available. Some people don't have what you need. But trust that maybe they do. Maybe you can get a little bit of help, and maybe it's just not from the expected places. and maybe a little humility, maybe showing that actually, no, I cannot continue to put in 16-hour days, 6 days a week indefinitely. It may feel risky, but if you're not taking care of you, who is taking care of you? Other people may care, but you got to help them help you. Anyway, I feel like I'm circling around the same drain. That was a terrible analogy, but that you get the idea. That burnout is from overwhelming stress, not enough resources. So get more resources or get less stress. Okay? And allow yourself to be creative. The way things have been done doesn't mean that it's the way things are right for you. And it doesn't mean the way that just because this is how you used to do it doesn't mean this is how you have to do it in the future. Because, my beautiful friend, we need you. You are a unique offering on this planet, never seen before, never to be seen again. And if you are burning yourself to a little tiny crisp, the rest of us are missing out on that bright light that you have come here to shine, those unique and special gifts that only you have. So we need you. I need you. Everyone needs you to be the most nourished, joyful, well-rested version of you that you can manage. And when you're thinking about other people's suffering, and I am too, your own suffering may seem like nothing. And, let's not get into the trauma comparison game. Suffering is suffering. And you will do so much more for those people whose suffering is breaking your heart if you're not half toasted yourself, if you're not operating on an empty tank. You can drive farther on a full tank than you can on an empty one. And if, to stretch this analogy farther than it needs to go, if let's imagine that suffering people are hitchhikers and you're driving a car, how many people can you pick up on the road in a full tank versus how far are you going to get on an empty tank? And now the two of you are stranded on the side of the road. So fill your tank, take care of you, get your vehicle serviced, go get a massage, drink a glass of water, stand up and do some burpees. And recognize that burnout is not a character failure. It doesn't mean you're weak. It just means that our modern life is, for the most part, not designed for your well-being. And so it's up to you to lean into ways of reasserting your own well-being. Yeah? Yeah. You deserve it. You deserve well-being. You deserve well-being. You, my sweet, gorgeous, beautiful, amazing human, are whole. You are perfect. You are complete. And you are worthy and deserving of a good life, even if other people aren't currently having one. Your suffering doesn't ameliorate their suffering. Fill your tank, and from that full place, figure out how to serve. Okay? Until next time.